I live about 15 kilometers from the capital. It is a small town, gradually turning into another small town, and only then into a large capital. My life is quiet, measured. I have a boyfriend, an apartment, a car, my salary suits me. In general, I used to be skeptical about everything paranormal and what is beyond the bounds. No, I kind of believed that there was something in the deep forests, in the caves under ancient ridges and mountains, in the depths of the lakes. Mystical. Old. But in cities, in civilization, there is no place for them. Cities are crazy, they themselves give birth to their own demons. We have maniacs and psychopaths. Isn't this enough? And so I quarreled with a guy, his name is Max. The quarrel, as always, was useless, the reason was weak and there seemed to be an hour of silence, but both he and I said something to each other that was not very easy to forget. So I left. I decided to spend the night in a house in the country. Our house was large, nice, there was a workshop in it, my father also arranged everything there, and since both he and I are very clean, it was very clean and comfortable there. All tools are on shelves, in bedside tables, and on the desktop. A small sofa, although just right for me. The floor is wooden, there are lamps, both table and general light. There is a heater. A closet for small items, even a toilet in the house. It was Saturday evening, and I, not really wanting to rush to my friends, since the quarrel had left a residue that I didn't want to fill with alcohol or a fun party, took a couple of things and warm blankets. At the Dacha Cooperative I was greeted with nods and questions about business. By the way, this cooperative is located near the city center. There are about 40 plots in it, and the local contingent can be divided into 3 categories: pensioners, my peers, and young people. Everyone behaves quietly. Well, sometimes, of course, one of the young people will give gas to the entire cooperative with his recently purchased old motorcycle or moped. And so no fights, no drinking. What to say? Bored province. I prepared the sofa, went to dinner at a restaurant nearby, bought a bottle of water and cookies at the store, and got ready for the evening. The cooperative is fenced, there are large gates at the entrance that close after 9 o'clock, so 5 minutes before closing I left, and half an hour later I simply climbed through the fence. The dogs not far from my house just wagged their tails and lowered their heads to their paws. I quietly opened the workshop door, crept inside and bolted the door. I turned on the lamp, spread out a warm blanket, pulled on a thick sweater. October is no joke. She turned on the heater, took out a book and lay down. I usually go to bed late, my profession allows it, so I was completely relaxed. At about 11 o'clock I heard the watchman's voice, "Rizik, Rosa, Seema, come on to the booths." This exclamation was followed by a quiet bark and the clatter of iron bowls, and then the stomping of dogs. "Seema!" The watchman shouted again. Silence. I listened. Not far from my garage, a voice was heard again, "The old bitch, counting her 5th year here, and still dumber than Rose," then a dissatisfied growl, apparently from this Seema. "Let's go to the booths, it's light there, Rosa and Red are already having dinner. I've fastened them, and now you're on a chain, otherwise you'll disappear in the dark." I shrugged and turned over to the other side. I read for about 10 minutes, and then I thought, why should watchdogs be chained at night? During the day it's okay, but at night various lovers of easy money usually come. Why is there a chain at night? I brushed aside this riddle and continued reading. By midnight, I was almost falling asleep reading a book, when something not far outside made a clanking sound on metal. Then again. I involuntarily listened. Again. Someone is throwing stones at the houses, it dawned on me. This went on for about 20 minutes. Sometimes the sounds alternated with stomping somewhere in the distance, and a couple of times even distant laughter was heard. I soon began to feel uncomfortable, especially when the guard dogs at the back of the co-op started barking. I got up from the sofa, went to the door, and listened. Here, right next to me, I can feel him. The boy's voice rang out. I don't know how many years one can give such a voice. There is still no break, like at 14 years old, but it already has the sonority of a 10-year-old. Therefore, somewhere between them. Listen, are you sure? Maybe him? The second voice was also young, but more timid. No. I smell him, he's here, he's not sleeping. There is no fear, I don't know where he is, the voice seemed passionate. I swallowed a lump. What are two boys doing late at night among dachas and garages? I need to lure you out, scare you, I'll find you out of fear, let's have fun today. The voice gloated. Listen, maybe he doesn't even hear us, he's sitting somewhere drunk. Let's leave it, let it sit. I am not hungry. You're never hungry, you're always making noise, you can't even eat a dog. I heard the sound of a deep breath through my nose. He's here, very close. Then there was a grinding sound of metal, as if someone was driving a screwdriver along the wall of the neighboring garage. The dogs howled protractedly. And then I heard crying. Auntie, please open the door, there are dogs here. Uncle, please. It was the voice of a timid guy. Another helped him. Hey, open up, there are dogs here. Please open. We didn't want to, Auntie. There are dogs here. And right after the words, someone banged on the door of the house nearby. I backed away from the door. Please. A timid voice squealed. Open, quick. Another supported. The sound of palms hitting metal became louder. Someone help, remove the dogs. Open, my friend is biting. No dog barking could be heard, but the voices screamed as if they were being eaten alive by dogs. However, I did not open the door. There was something alarming about these voices. After a series of death rattles, everything became quiet. Well, didn't you open it? The imperious voice seemed to reproach his friend. But then I didn't open it either. Air being drawn in again. Now I don't have to knock just to smell it. Stop it, there's no need to kill him, it's our own fault. The timid voice was drowned in an imperious growl. Yes, but they could have let us in, but no one let us in. And he didn't open the door, so you would have torn it apart. Shouted a timid voice. I grabbed the bolt on the door, my heart became heavy and stuck to the bones of my chest. Suddenly, I realized that I was missing. I was afraid. There was a laugh from behind me in the workshop. Woof, now I'm going to bite you. I pulled the bolt and flew out of the house. The owner of the timid voice stood in front of me, a boy of about 12. The shorts and t-shirt were torn to shreds, half of the neck was missing, it was impossible to understand how it was holding up. The ankles and hands are gnawed at the wrists, one cheek hangs down, there are scratches and bite marks here and there. Run to the booths. He squeaked with his giant corroded mouth. I yelled back and rushed to the booths. I don't know what made me do it more at that moment, his advice, or the presence of dogs and a watchman at the kennels. From behind there were growls and howls, whining and barking, turning into children's malicious laughter. Someone jumped on my back, and I swayed and fell. Something grabbed my shoulder, biting through my sweater. Rolling along the ground, I realized that something invisible was gnawing at my shoulder. I could neither feel it nor throw it off. Bleeding and screaming, I somehow got up and ran to the booth again. The creature that I saw out of the corner of my eye was hanging from my side and looked like a timid boy, only bitten more strongly, perhaps due to desperate resistance. I didn't see his face, only the hair of his head, which was clutching my shoulder. I screamed and ran to the booth. The pain in his shoulder became stronger. He squeezed his jaws, as if he wanted to bite off a piece of his shoulder. The timid boy's voice was heard again, only from the left, "Cover your face with your hands." I covered my face with my palms and rushed forward harder. Suddenly a shot rang out. My arms and body were covered in small nasty bites, and I screamed louder. The pain in my shoulder has subsided. God damn, girl, are you alive? Damn it, go away, you unclean one. Several more shots were heard. A howl was heard from behind. I cried, my hand stung, my shoulder ached. Now we'll call an ambulance, I'll call the boss. Let's quickly take you to the emergency room. Hold on, how is the blood flowing heavily? Is your shoulder intact? And the eyes? I mumbled that my shoulder and arms hurt. The eyes are intact, the watchman stated. Apparently, he judged by my tears. I hugged his leg and whined for him not to leave. As a result, the watchman had to drag me on himself. It was in his house that I passed out. I woke up in the hospital. It was morning, none of my family and friends knew that I was here yet. An unfamiliar man was standing by the bed on which I was lying. Noticing that I was looking around in fear, he spoke quietly. Don't be afraid, they only appear among the dacha cooperative, and even then rarely. Bad luck to you. But she's alive, she'll puncture herself from rabies, that's all. What about hands? I asked, noticing the patches on them and all over their upper body. Salt. The watchman has a loaded gun for her. It's good that your sweater is thick and you covered your face from the shot with your hands. He had to knock this off you, but Salt doesn't have much accuracy. The main thing is that she is alive. But what about your brains? Are you, by any chance, crazy? I looked at him and realized that he doubted my sanity. Honestly, I doubted it too. About 10 years ago, a couple of kids, for some reason, climbed into the dachas at night and ran into dogs. The then watchman was sleeping drunk, and the dogs were hungry. It's clear that the boys could not have predicted this. Someone was at the cooperative at the time, someone saw them running from the dogs, but closed the door, didn't even drive the dogs away. Understand? Maybe some kind of maniac or just a creature who was interested, but that uncle didn't let them in, and the boys were killed. I listened, and at the word uncle I trembled, tears flowed from my eyes. The man put his arm around my uninjured shoulder. It's okay, this happens. I saw them myself when the cooperative was buying them up. We also had to introduce a rule regarding curfew. Dogs are also often chewed. Are they taking revenge or what? Don't know. Rarely does anyone get caught like you. See how bad it turned out. He stood up, rubbed the back of his head, looked at me. Are you going to go to court? I shook my head and wiped away my tears. What about the wounds? I shrugged. I'll think something. He nodded. If you want to talk or if you have any complaints, let me know. Handing me a piece of paper with a phone number, the man sighed and left. I tried to sleep, but then the doctor appeared. I hastily came up with something about a bulldog and a guy who shot at a drunk to throw the dog off. The doctor chuckled and gave me prescriptions and several referrals to doctors. At home I came up with even more incomprehensible nonsense, but everyone somehow believed it. The salt stopped bothering me after 2 weeks, and the bite and rabies injections stopped bothering me after 6 months. By the way, I sold the workshop. It was found open that morning, and everything inside was chewed and torn. I met with the owner of the cooperative a couple of times to calm down and stop considering myself crazy. And the scar, by the way, does not at all resemble a bulldog bite, an ordinary jaw, a human one. Children's.